Hey, it's Nicole with Realty Masters. I'm here with Chip with All Risk Insurance, and we've been getting some reassignments from Citizens for some of our clients that are insured through Citizens with Chip. And I have invited him here today to talk about that. So take it away, Chip.
Okay, so what we're talking about is what you'll receive a notification similar to this for depopulation is what they call it though, and somebody wants to assume your policy. So what Citizens is trying to do, 2 years ago they had 550,000 policies. Because of all the companies that have gone insolvent and others not wanting to write business, they've just passed 1.6 million policies. So in a matter of 2 years, they've grown over a million policies. So what they're asking the private market carriers to do is to take some of the policies away from Citizens. And you're going to get an offer from them. You may get an offer, a majority of people will, that's going to say, hey, we have such and such company that's willing to take your policy, and here's their premium. And then they'll project what your renewal would be with them if you stay. Now, none of this is going to take place until your next renewal. They will say they're going to move you now if you agree, or if not, and I'll explain that, but it doesn't happen until the next year. When your renewal date comes, you would receive a renewal from that other carrier. If you have a claim that happens through the remainder of this year up to your renewal, that other carrier is going to handle your claim. But there's no transaction or change in money. The money you paid is set. Nothing changes until, again, your renewal date. So what you'll get is sometimes an offer. It may be twice as much as your current Citizens policy, and you'll need to take action on that because they're asking you, do you want this? And no, you wouldn't want that. So you need to notify your agent and let them know, I've received this assumption notice or depopulation notice. I don't want to take that offer. And they will go into the system and they will opt you out of that offer where you would remain with Citizens. Now, if the offer is within 20% of your current premium, they're going to move you because that's part of the eligibility to get into Citizens in the first place. So if I were to write you a policy today, I'm not supposed to put you there if another carrier we have is within 20% of their premium. So again, in this depopulation process, they're saying, okay, this carrier is within that, so they're going to move you at the end of the year to that new carrier. If those rates, if the projected rates change and you get that renewal from the company and it's higher, which we have seen, then you'll want to contact your agent and discuss possibly being put back with Citizens or with another carrier. The oddity is these companies that are making offers to you for, we couldn't put you with them now. They are not within those rates that they're giving, and their eligibility sometimes is not there either. So the state has made arrangements with these companies to accept these policies the way they are, and they're bound to keep them for 3 years under Citizens eligibility and not their own. So it's not, shouldn't be something that if you have an older roof or an older water heater, that they're going to come up and say, okay, well, our eligibility doesn't allow a 20-year-old water heater, so we're canceling you. They're supposed to keep you for 3 years, and then if it is beyond that, you would be expected to change it or find another carrier that would accept the condition of your home. But it's very important. You'll probably receive a call from your agent. We very proactive at our agency of contacting and making sure that you're aware of these offers and that we opt you out if it's not something that you would want to take advantage of or that you wanted to do or couldn't do. So, but if not, be looking for these letters. If you've typically one that just discards, notices from Citizens, you don't want to do that anymore because there's a lot going on at Citizens and it could affect your rates and your insurability to continue with them.
Yeah, I got one of these letters and actually got a call from your office before. So
Mm-hmm.
then when I got the letter, it wasn't too bad. But
Yeah.
I also heard there was a new change with flood insurance premium coming to Citizens.
You talking about the requirement to have a flood policy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that coming down the pipeline in a few years?
it's actually in effect now. If dependent upon if you're in a flood zone, if you're in an AE or VE's flood zone, then you will be and you obtain a new policy with Citizens. You're going to be required to have a flood policy on your. In addition to that, so you go through FEMA for that flood policy. The other option is if you're in a preferred zone, you don't have to at this point in time. They are making based on the value of your home. You will be required, everybody that has a Citizens policy will eventually be required to have a flood policy. So right now it's homes over 500,000 are required to. So they only go up to 700,000 in value with Citizens, but any home over 500,000 is required next year. Any home over 400,000, and the following year is 300,000. The following year, everybody has to have it, whether you're in a flood zone or not. And that's part of this is, again, Citizens trying to drive you out to the private market to find coverage versus being insured with them. But sometimes I have this often where we've got a property that's in an AE flood zone, but the rate of Citizens is so good, even with a $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 flood policy, they still can't find that premium in the private market. So they'll still stay there. But obviously it's a significant increase on the cost of insurance for that person. But it is coming, it's here, and it's coming for based on your dwelling value every year.
What about renewals? Will that apply
There,
in the future or now?
if you're in a flood zone right now and you haven't been required to, so say somebody's renewing in December and you're in an AE flood zone, you are going to be required to have a flood policy when that policy renews because you're in a flood zone, regardless of the dwelling value that you're insured for. So you will get that notification. You'll get a non-renewal notice from Citizens because they haven't received a copy of a flood declarations. And in that case, that's what they're asking you. If you want to stay with us, you're going to have to provide a copy of a flood policy. Used to be, if we signed a waiver just saying we understand that the policy doesn't cover flood, but we're still accepting Citizens policy, they're no longer allowing it. And I'll say a lot of that stemmed from one of the storms down south where there was a lot of this area wasn't a flood zone. It was a preferred X zone. But when that storm came in around the Naples area, it came in areas that had never been flooded ever. And there's a lot of litigation going on because attorneys try to go against your primary home policy and try to class it as wind-driven rain or what have you and try to get it covered. So they're trying to stop that. And it's like if you have a flood situation, you're going to have it covered by your flood policy. They're not the only company that's doing that. Others have done it as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, and we just talked about the 35% increase in premium coming for rental properties from Citizen. Can you touch on that briefly in case they didn't see that video?
Sure. Yeah. So that's, again, this is something new. Again, Citizens was always created to help the individuals and residents of Florida. It used to be the insurer of last resort. That changed along the way, and they tried to become competitive and give Florida policyholders a good premium. But because they've gotten so large, and we're insuring more than just the private market, I'd say majority of this is coming from the short-term rental properties that are heavy on the Gulf Coast and in South Florida. Those are businesses. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and Citizens is like, that's not what we're in the business for helping. They don't provide liability for LLCs, same thing, because it's business oriented. So what they've done now is they said, if you can't provide proof that this is somebody either living in the home, this is their primary Florida residence, or you have a copy of a lease to show that this is an annual lease, not a short-term property, then you're going to take a 35% increase on your premium. The ways that you can defer that is, again, the owner of the property has to produce an annual lease showing that it's not a short-term property. The person is in this house for a year. If you don't have that, some people don't always go under contract, then you're going to have the tenant provide a copy of their driver's license showing that property address, a utility bill showing that property address, again, showing that that is their primary residence. And for the policy, then they'll remove that or not charge the 35% increase.
Yeah, so as Chip said, when you get your Citizens jargon in the mail, do read it. I got mine, did not understand it. So this is more important than ever, a great time to have a relationship with a local insurance agent here in Florida. So if you've got one of these nationwide companies, we do recommend you reach out to All Risk to shop your policy renewal. And so you have someone on your side who can help you navigate all the letters that we have in the past just thrown away. Don't do that anymore. So how can people reach you, Chip?
Well, we have 3 offices, but you can call our main office, and it's 850-623-8912. And my extension is 1311 if you want to speak directly to me. If I'm not available, I will call you back promptly if you want to leave me a message. I'll be glad to discuss it, whether you're going to move a policy or not. We're always here to help people. Maybe we can help you down the road if we can't help you now. But again, we educate people on the market all the time, and we'd be glad to do so.
Thank you so much, Chip.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.